say dedication pushed me through, and the support of my family and loved ones made me climb through this journey. So I will not venture into saying much about myself because the video highlighted here speak about myself. Then I will talk about the green roots and the growth of Africa. Like I said, you realize Africa has been struggling. We are still at a crossroad. For centuries, Africa has been depending on our fellow continents. For centuries, our directions have been controlled. For centuries, our resources have been used in our own country. For the longest time, Africans cannot think for themselves. For the longest time, if we need good roads, good engineers, we have to go to Europe and America. For the longest times, Africans cannot use their own brains and think for themselves. For the longest time, Africans don't stop killing each other. For the longest time, we are busy losing our own economy. This has raised a significant call in my heart that I cannot stand and see Africa bleeding in her own soul.
The book launch of the Dream of Global of West Africa. I'm just going to do a simple introduction about what the book is. The Dribble and Drawl of Africa is a bold, new, and unbearable exploration of our challenge that continue to see the African story and a passionate call towards environmental and honest urgency. The book confronts the deep-rooted realities of corruption, nepotism, tribalism, ignorance, and despair. It's not only that, but an American concept that inspires change. Beyond exposing these obstacles, the author offers practical and empowering solutions, affirming that African souls are permanent, no forever. At the heart of this work is a powerful appeal to the youth of possibilities of tomorrow, tries to take up ownership and unite across divided and different parts of the village and continent. Promising vision and a book also championed the life footprints of women condemning their marginalization as the costly injustice that continue to hinder African development. Inconsistent true progress can only be achieved when every goal is valued and every potential matters.
Building stage lives hope, resilience, and belief in African promise. The Living and Growth of Africa by Abdul Kalam, a historical book set the tone of a new awakening call for progress control, our challenge, and the safe and future divine not only what holds back, but what we choose to become as African child, African pets, educationists, agriculturists, women. My name is Edwin I will join now the coordination this honorable book launched by our only brother, product of Africa, a son of Islam, Gambia. My name is Edwin I will join and you're all welcome. And I'm opposed to that. Thank you. First, we to have Madam Ramotulai to give us the opening remarks. Are you here to give us the opening remarks? Ramotulai, are you set?
My name is Ramotulai Jallo, and I have the privilege to open this gracious occasion today. Beyond titles, however, I just want to say that I am a believer of power of honest African telling story, which is why I am so proud to stand behind this bid today. All protocols duly and respectfully observed. I believe our presence here today signifies a shared respect for literature. We have all come out to support a book that doesn't hide anything. The Dribbles and Thrones of Africa by our dear author Abdul Koma. Usually, when we talk about our continent, we have the need to be loud, we have the urge to make sure that we are perfect or we are heard, but today, we are here for the quiet and honest realities. The parts of our lives that are a bit messy, that are a bit raw, and that are entirely human. Before we go any further, I want to look around the room and simply thank our elders for laying the foundation for us. And to our colleagues and friends who have supported Abdul Koma even when it was hard to continue writing. And to everyone who showed up here today, because you are a fan of literature, or because you are a fan of a good storytelling, or because of you just love books. This event tonight would not have been a launching without you. Your presence here makes this launching a community and not just an event. Abdul Koma, known as the Perpetual Poet, has handed us something very special this afternoon. It is a book that doesn't ask for permission to be what it is. It's unrefined, it's raw, it's honest, and it is ours. So let us embrace it. Let's engage and let's celebrate the fact that our stories, in all its complexities, are finally being told the honest way, complementing the works of our literature and writers. You're all welcome, and I am honored to officially declare this launch open. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
Before we proceed, I just want to acknowledge the sponsors of this event, National Center for Arts and Culture, Ministry of Transport and Work, AREPC, Green Innovation, Wonderland, which is this venue here, and Fundraise Technologies. Thank you all for sponsoring this event. We know that young Gambians are having it very difficult to make amendments, chasing their dreams and having to just open up the door to make sure that their dreams are realized. We know that Gambia is very challenging. We have a lot of young people who are doing amazing work, but the support is lagging behind. But we want to acknowledge the CEO and founder, and all the managers that are responsible for the land, sponsoring this event for free. Round of applause for that. A round of applause for that. AfriCell also provided these backdrop you're seeing behind for free. young people need to be invested across the world. And these individuals we have here, they have a lot of things to this happen, but they spare their time to come on such a small boy who is just rising from the absence of writing. It makes sense because when you have young people that are there to do, you need to have people like this to the table so that they can be somewhere will believe that it is okay for you to be a donor and actually realize that we want to thank all the sponsors who made this event a massive success. And to our special guests for dedicating their special time to be here to answer the call for young man. This is what we need, and when we look behind us, we see people like this, and you, the audience, we are optimistic that Gambia will move ahead. And until then, we will have a poetry performance from the Bright Future. Then it's the team ready for interlude. Then we want to also thank Auntie Amigo and Sister Ho, Director of Press, the State House. That means that the President is already in our midst. Round of applause for that. We are having a young audience, we are not seeing the enemy. We need to give it a round of applause. We are going to clap for people and this is our turn. Thanks to all our special guests and the young man behind his brain. He launched his book a year back, and here he is today. This year, launching another massive book. We know that the narratives of Africa have been changing over the years, and it's high time for Africa to support and believe in Africa. Until then, we want to call on Bright Future and Yon Ben. They are going to give us a massive poetry performance. Ben, are you done with your team? We are set to hear from you. If you're on ground, please be there. Then we'll change the narrative from poetry to birthday like art. The craft is clear. Now we are set to hear from a short presentation, a short documentary created in help of stage, a documentary by the author Abdul Kumar, the reason why we are all gathered today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is the Bravery and Glory of Africa, a book championed by a young man whose name is Abdul Kumar. This is his second publication.
A journey of 1,000 miles will always begin with one step, and that is the one step I have taken. I am Abdul Kumar, a young Gambian poet and a prolific writer, currently studying biology at the University of the Gambia in my final year. I am a young man from the trenches of Basending, now climbing the climax, changing lives. Yes, here is my journey as an author. This might inspire you. I started my journey in the heart of Basending, Upper River region. Attended Nasir Ahmadiyya Muslim and Senior Secondary School, where I specialized in the field of science. I did pure science. It has always been a phenomenon that science students are not good writers in our society. It has been a dogmatic view in society. But of course, it has been a journey of resilience for me. It has been a journey of sacrifice. It has been a journey of self-determination. Of course, I face massive challenges on my way as an author. Of course, you look at when you start something as a human being, the first thing you will be told spiritually or in any form is that you cannot do it. I was doubted, I was fearful, and I was so much underrated that I cannot do it. It will surprise you that even my friends, most of them could not believe in my potentials as a writer. Some teachers said, no, I cannot make it because my field was not concerned with science. Being a writer has nothing to do with science. Today I have break stereotypes. Today I have break cultures. Today I have break norms, phenomena that are elusive in the minds of people in society. I authored my first book, which is The Blind Bridges of Love. which is currently available in 6 or 7 international websites in the world and libraries. A clear testimony or testament that man can break barriers. And now I have authored my second book, despite studying science. It is the dribbles and the drolls of Africa. This book has a lot of dominion in society. Of course, as a continent, I raise significant calls, concerns on the problems and the perils disturbing Africa: economic delinquency, social disparity, bad governance. You talk more about dogmatism. This book championed human leadership. It calls for good governance. It called for broader participation in government. It addressed the cultures of silence, the cultures of nepotism, cultures of tribalism. I want to believe my journey as a science student to be an author of 2 books which have changed narratives and still now will be changing narratives. I have no doubts, if you are a young man who believes in your dream as a writer, you need to start now. The time is now. If the boy from the trenches of Basending can do it, you from Bansang can do it. If the boy from Basending can do it, you from Chamnoy can do it. If the boy from Basending can do it, you from Kisi can do it. If the boy from Basending can do it, you from Sare Musa can do it. There is no limitation to what you can do. My journey was a journey of disappointment, journey of doubts. I was not believe that I will be here. And for that being the case, the North South, my journey was a journey of resilience, self-determination, and this is why I am climbing the climax. And I hope my journey has been a journey of inspiration to you who's watching me, wherever you are. I hope you are inspired. I'm a science student, one author, a youth leader, a poet, involve myself in diverse things. I hope you all have a beautiful event, and I thank you all for attending this glory of African history, connecting our values, talking about perils, and calling Africa to stand by herself and avoid dependency as parasites as we have been longing for centuries. I thank you all, and it's your brother Alhaji Abdul Koma from the trenches of Basending.
Lot of challenges we face across the communities we come from, our backgrounds and lineage. Somebody told me at some point that young people are doing amazing well in the Gambia, but if you're doing 100 to get to your dreams, know that you have another 1,000 challenges to stop your dream from coming true. But despite of all the challenges, we need to spot, fight, and make sure that we are capturing our talent to develop it to the international world. Next, we are going to have, or we are set to hear from Dr. Mr. Tue. These are dignitaries actually. They have a vast variety, a vast experience through their work, but we're summarizing their biographies so that we don't have to keep them here forever. Right? Dr. Mr. Tue is a fascinating public servant with extensive work experience in the health administration and policy implementation. His work has contributed significantly in strengthening health system in public services delivery in the Gambia and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, can we welcome Dr. Mr. Tue on board. Mr. Tue. You want to do that? A whole lot of you that clap. A whole lot of you that clap. It takes a lot for somebody to be about.
Madam Ami Sissoho Bojang, and Mama, Dr. Mama, and then Yaya Cham and Baba, is it Baba Ja, and the rest of you. I I must say, this is a very interesting moment. I happen to know Abdou Koma through his literary feats, and I have found him quite amazing. So, in the first time I met up with him, we clicked, and we've been communicating since then. Being a very passionate youth in this field, I think he needs support. This is what Africa needs. And despite my schedule, I think it is important, to come over here and grace this occasion. It's not easy to bring me out to ceremonies like this, but he succeeded in doing that. So I am going to talk about some very old-fashioned things, but I hope we would all relax and listen keenly. Maybe towards the end of the day, I would have contributed something in my own way to what Abdou has been doing. I will not be able to match dribbles and roles of Africa. I have had that interaction with some other authors. I have read some books about the predicament faced by the African continent. And even when I said, okay, I want to have this book, I want to read this, I had some preconceptions, but this is something I am still very agitated. At some point, when I did my piece, I was like, okay, I am buying, but it was not yet out even, so I was in haste, to have access to this book. I will be talking about what is right and what is wrong. In my own way, you might see this as the principle of agreeing to disagree. First, let's hear from a 21st century American philosopher, John Rawls, who argued that, and he used this argument with the use of a theory he called the veil of ignorance, that fair laws could be enacted when those enacting them were asked to propose a bill on the understanding that after it was enacted into law, they would die and reincarnate into different segments of the same society, and that the socio-economic conditions of their reincarnated lives would not be guaranteed. They may reincarnate into any socio-economic setup, and the laws they enacted for that segment of society in their earlier lives would now govern them. So it's like that way we can have fair laws. That goes to say, we may have some giant leaps socially, yet there may be significant debris of hate, spite, and or negativity within our so-called heightened social consciousness, or what we may call emotional intelligence, as a collective. And I suggest we ask ourselves whether this debris is insignificant enough to leave the center of our social cohesion intact. But again, I do not want to suggest that selflessness is impossible. In most instances, the struggle for self is the root cause of human disagreements. That in turn presumes that in a situation where the extent of human selfishness has become the yardstick, and where a certain level of selfishness could be acceptable, then that measure of agreeability will now position us as a nation on the ladder of civility. This goes on to say, whatever we do as human beings, we have some element of selfishness, right? Even when we pray, we want to go to heaven. It's about us. It is my conviction, and it may be yours too, that a person's personality is what is notable. Good and evil are inherent in these personalities, and the balance between good and evil determines our actions and reactions, and ultimately, that is what defines us. We do not have time to delve into the epistemology of good and evil. I may fall victim to my own inner evil. Simply put, I am not prepared to openly manifest my inability, to see good beyond mere affective experiences. Today we have witnessed a heightened youth consciousness. This group of intelligent young humans wishes to define or even shape a new world order. The fundamental question is, who has the authority to create a new world order? I stand here to argue philosophically that throughout history, humans across the globe underwent a form of transformation driven by either coercion or some form of soft power, probably not identifiable at the time. You may call this politics, and I may be tempted to agree with you if the presumption is that politics is the art of managing the affairs of an organized group, a family, a club, a village, or even a nation. And we are simply qualifying that these 4x1 mechanical beings should be considered political animals. Human beings are political animals, but we are somehow mechanical in the sense that we have this 4x1 gripping, hand, and what rises us above all other is the cerebral system. Going back to the youth and their new world order, we cannot deny the fact that despite our heightened social consciousness or emotional intelligence, probably brought to us by the feats in today's technological advancements, there may still be a significant debris of hate, spite, and or negativity within this yearning for a new world order. If this premise is acceptable, then the youth of any nation should welcome the understanding that we have to oppose a popular view non-violently. This is the elephant in the room. It simply means you can swing your hand, I quote, but it stops at where another can defend his or her nose begins. A saying attributed to an American jurist and Supreme Court judge, Holmes Jr. It is noble to moderate your catharsis in a healthy way should you find yourself on the wrong side of a popular view, and that is agreeing to disagree. However, it will be rather unfortunate for anyone to bask in that poignant, debilitating view of protecting one's nose while assuming the liberty to deny any hand swinging outside that no-flight zone. With this understanding, I can now present my concept of how the youth could be drawn into violence in a society that is not tolerant. It is normal to choose a principle or an ideology in the management of any socio-economic system, with the understanding that no two contrasting principles or ideologies can be used simultaneously, in the management of the same socio-economic system, especially when these contrasting principles or ideologies are backed by contending forces that would not be agreeing to disagree. Let me present an allegorical argument to elaborate this. The literary idol of crime and punishment, Dostoevsky, a Russian writer, depicts a similar scenario in what he calls a Napoleonic war. He presents some self-conceived Napoleons refusing to agree to disagree, with other Napoleonic personalities. The reality, it seems, is that these Napoleons, also known as the extraordinary or the followed, usually have a greater understanding of their followers' weaknesses, in this case, the youth, and play them against a legitimate system rather than simply agreeing to disagree. Among the names of great writers, one cannot overlook the ideas of a man who nearly brought the entire human race to an oblivion. Hitler, excuse my choice of reference, understood the weaknesses of the masses and played on them to his advantage. He argued that the great majority's thoughts and conduct are ruled by sentiments rather than sober reasoning. Sentiments that he considered as not complex but simple and consistent. And he believed this is characterized by not being highly differentiated, but only the negative and positive notions of love and hatred, right and wrong, truth and falsehood. This could rightly be described as the naivety of youth. And I would hesitate to suggest that this naivety is synonymous to the so-called New World Order. I call it so-called because the simple suspicion of a refusal to agree to disagree. There has always been the Hitleric force hovering around self-conceived Napoleons, and to some extent their principles or ideas are shrouded in a sense of disagreeing to disagree. In fact, Dostoevsky depicts the Napoleons or the extraordinary as people who possess the ability to break laws and values, set up new laws and values, and make right out of wrong. Sadly, this righting or correcting the wrong, in most cases, does not take place under a democratic dispensation. And not without the extraordinary exploiting the same naivety we notice in group psychology. A democratic dispensation, one that does not conflict with our culture. We may say one's culture is backward. On the contrary, I think culture is always the measure of a community's worth. Allow me to delve a little into our understanding of the relationship between culture and democracy. I always hold that culture is solid, dimensional, and composed of archetypal blocks, while democracy is fluid. Partly because I agree with the psychoanalyst Carl Gustav Jung. A fluid democracy should therefore resemble the shape of our culture and not the other way around. This is the form of democracy that recognizes our values and our scientifically accepted norms. For Fanon, a culture manipulated through what I will refer to as external or foreign interference, create norms that, in my view, are not scientifically accepted. Because such norms reflect the interferer's cultural standards, thereby undermining democracy. It is like taking their values and norms hook, line, and sinker. Carl Gustav Jung's archetypal blocks presupposes a sedimentation of culture, especially as Fanon considers colonization, for instance, a profound psychological process that conditions us to internalize our oppression, to a point that we end up mimicking the colonizer's values and behaviors. Impliedly, any disagreement that does not embrace the notion of agreeing to disagree and yet advocates an idea that is not culturally democratic will in no time have ingratitude gnawing, at its very foundation. Ultimately, every self-conceived Napoleon will exit the stage, and Dostoevsky argues that some of these extraordinary men exit the stage as terrorists or public enemies. And to the very point of their exit, they continue to entertain the notion that the only crime they commit is that they could not complete the process of correcting the wrong. However, I think they simply underestimated the strength of legitimacy, the long hand of justice, or the master plan of the master planner. Chinua Achebe argues in The Anthills of the Savannah that revolutions are betrayed by ingratitude. I wish to put it differently. Often, revolutions built on illegitimacy will not stand the test of time. Master Achebe ended up staging the fight between the unequal. That is the leopard and the tortoise in The Anthills of the Savannah. Why did the tortoise take the trouble to disturb the battleground, only to confuse whoever would later come across the scene and mistake the battle for a fight among equals? It was not. Was the tortoise anticipating the emergence of social media in a decade or two after their encounter? In the first place, Achebe's context lacks legitimacy. It was a forceful takeaway, and those who participated in that illegitimacy were caught by nemesis. That to me is the brutal truth. I may be wrong. However, I am still thinking. And if I am thinking along these lines, wouldn't I agree to disagree for now? And now I am muddled in my head, excuse me. I would want to stop here. Thank you very much.
And all other groups that event. We still want to say thank you for supporting a young man, a dreamer, a starving dreamer for that matter. We also want to thank the National Center for Arts and Culture, Ministry of Transport and Road, AREP Green Innovation, Modern Land, who the manager is Mr. Seka, who gave this event for absolutely free. A round of applause for Mr. Seka. He's been with Koma, making sure that all the things that are needed for this event to be successful in this venue were catered for. We also want to acknowledge Professor Technologies by Alice Platt, the founder of Campus Technologies is here. Thank you for supporting this event. We also want to acknowledge Chinua Achebe, I hope I am pronouncing the name properly, who also bought a book for $50. He's not in the company but purchased the book and said he wanted to support this young man. We also want to acknowledge Mr. Abba, who edited this marvelous book. Over here is Mr. Abba. We know him to be a vibrant teacher, and education is still very vibrant when it comes to literature, especially in the field of writing, English, and literature. very versatile. We also want to acknowledge the special guests on the high table, those who have dedicated time to be here to witness this occasion. Students from different schools, colleagues, and friends of Africoma. We want to acknowledge you for being here. Massive performance. I'm sure you already know that Gambia. We are set to hear from Dr. Mama Sawale, a brief biography of peace. He's a renowned international lecturer at the University of the Gambia and other Western universities. He holds a PhD in economics and climate change from the University of St. Andrews, Senegal, master's degree holder in agricultural economics and a bachelor's degree in general agricultural cum laude. His academic and professional engagement have significantly contributed to capacity building among teachers, extension agents and farmers association across the Gambia. Ladies and gentlemen, applause for Dr. Anna Solomon. Please, another round of applause.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for highlighting my profile. I'm deeply honored. And thank you so much. I want to be a bit formal here. This is indeed a room full of courage, full of optimism, and full of hope. And you can see, as I am to give just few anecdotes from the book which we mentioned, the dribble and the drolls of Africa. I will first of all say, distinguished guests from my far right, Honorable Madam Bojang. This is my first time of meeting her, but I used to hear the name. I know it's a public figure. My brother, Dr. Yusuf, and my colleague, Musa, and my brother here, who has taken their time to be part of us. We also acknowledge all of the invited guests that are present, mainly the students. You are our hope for this country. My colleagues that are present here from the university, also friends of Abdul Kamar, as well as other important guests. But most importantly, my greeting goes to Mr. Abdul Kamar, who is my student, and today is my teacher. So, Abdul, thank you very much for being us. It is indeed a honor to be before you this evening at the launch of a book entitled The Dribble and Drolls of Africa. You can remember when a student invites you to speak at the back of their ideas, it is no longer about title or hierarchy, that you are a lecturer or is a student. It is about witnessing a growth. It is about witnessing a development. That's why we are here today. We are not just witnessing a launch of a book, but we are also witnessing the courage of a young African whose voice is to talk about or to choose truth and courage. These books exemplify that, which you will see in my few paragraphs. In the book, if you are opportune to have this book, and I know before the end of the day, all of you will have opportunity to have that book, I saw a striking line. Of course, I teach normally world politics, environment and development, which is a 400 level at the university. But when I saw the first title or the first line of the book, it said, Africa is not sort of dreams. She is sort of honest mirrors. This is a big statement. And in this statement, it tells us what kind of work is embedded in this book. Abdul does not only offer flattery in this book, but offers a true reflection of our continent, Africa. And we all know, when we talk about mirrors, most often we are not comfortable with it, but indeed they are necessary. Before you go out, you go to the mirror and see a reflection of how you look like. Sometimes when you are sleeping, it might be very uncomfortable for you, but it's indeed necessary. So this book is indeed a reflection for us. Throughout this book, which I am opportune to have a copy of the book, because in one of my class, after the class, we were talking about Africa, the underdevelopment of Africa, and I brought in certain perspective. And at the end of the class, Abdu approached me. And during the discussion, I can see the talent, young guy, who has love for Africa, because all these questions are towards solution. How do we make this continent better? So, in this book, throughout the book, mainly from the first chapter in the introduction of the book, Abdu shared quite a number of anecdotes that feel painfully familiar. All of you will see that they are familiar. But he sees Africa as a continent of abundance. It's just like one of the books I recommended to him during this class. This is what we call the Bottom Billion. This is book authored by an economics, Paul Collier, a renowned professor. In that book, he also talked about why Africa as a continent, you find most of the countries below the ladder, the bottom billion, despite all the endowments. And this is a true reflection of that author. So I can compare you with likes of Paul Collier, a renowned economics, who wrote the book, and the book was very fascinating. You can Google it. It's also Bottom Billion. Is a work for reading, just like the Driples and the Draws of Africa. Yeah. Despite all the abundance, despite all the environment, Abdu highlighted that repeatedly we are betrayed by the systems, and that reward reality over merit and tribe over justice and silence over accountability. These are not mere abstract ideas by Abdu. They are life realities. We can all attest to that. Many of us here have seen brilliant minds sidelined because of whom they know or whom they don't know. Many have watched public resources drift away while communities are left to droll in deprivations. And this has been echoed by the author. One powerful strength of this book is that it does not speak about Africa from a distance. It speaks from within. And Abdu writes from a life experience, from observations, from frustrations mixed with hope. That's the underlying one, mixed with hope that Africa has talents and you are the talents of Africa. He names corruption, he mentions nepotism, he mentions tribalisms, and not as fashionable buzzwords. These are not bare words, but they are our everyday obstacle that quietly suffocate our progress. And the same thing has been highlighted by Paul Collier. Yet he refuses to despair. He critiques is sharp, but it is never cynical. So therefore there is hope. The most compelling anecdotes running through this work throughout, which you will be opportune to see if you get a copy, is the recurring image of youthful energy restrained by inherent failures. The author Abdu paints this image. Many young Africans who know Well, young people are full of ideas, just like him, with the education, the right education and ambition. We can solve the problem. He challenged us, all of us, to stop waiting for permission to rebuild our continent and instead claim the ownership of our Africa. And I hope you are all equally ready for that. Equally courageous in the books is this instance on the centrality of women, which you will also see in the book for Africa's renewal. Abdu does not treat gender equality as a mere slogan. He treated it with logic, reasoning. As the powerfully suggested, a continent cannot run forward while deliberately restraining women, which of course is half of its strength. Stories of exclusion and stories of silencing the book remind us that marginalizing women is just unjust. We also talk about justice. There is what we call climate justice, climate and justice. He talked about treating women, marginalizing them is really unjust. It's not only unjust, but it is so expensive. So it costs us a lot of innovations, leadership, stability, and peace. So as we look at this young guy, that's why I coined my talk to be courage and truth, or truth and courage. Truth without courage, of course, we know it is silence. And courage without truth, you know what it is? It is just a mere noise. In this book, I have to insist on both. That is truth. We have to be truthful and we have to be courageous. It reminds us that Africa's future will not be saved by denial, nostalgia, blame shifting, but by taking responsibility. By citizens who are willing to act, critical questions, reject complacency, and choose integrity even when it is inconvenient. As a teacher, I'd say a former teacher because it was his final semester, I am very proud. As an African, I am challenged. Most importantly, as a reader, I am hopeful. Because when you read this work, you know that you become hopeful for the continent. As we celebrate him today, it is not only an applaud to applaud the author, but let's accept the invitation he extends to all of us to become very honest, to become mirrors of ourselves, to become courageous actors and faithful stewards of Africa's promise. This is Abdu's message, and I also throw this back to you for us to take it as a take-home message. Abdu, congratulations. Just one statement, I will put it. May this book disturb us where necessary. May it inspire us where possible, and importantly, guide us where courage is acquired or required. Thank you.
Another applause for Dr. Mona. That was very insightful. Some of the key takeaways that we've elaborated was the courage and the audacity to start something, the pathway to have faithful heroes that will move Africa to the promised land. It is key takeaway for all of us. Now we want to acknowledge the presence of the father of Abdul Koma, Mr. Koma. A round of applause for the father of the man of the moment. Mr. Koma, thank you for molding this young man. I think he deserves better, right? Mr. Koma. Yeah, I think can you please stand up? That is the father of the man we are celebrating today. Thank you for molding this young man to a better version of himself. We want to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Koma again and the family, the sisters, and all the aunts from different communities. We want to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Tabali, the principal of Gunners Eagles Senior Secondary School. We want to also acknowledge Mr. Abdul Karim and his family for attending this gracious event. The Jokula family, we are grateful for your presence. And Mr. Conte, principal of Mandela Academy, we equally want to thank you for coming. And the lecturer of Mr. Abdul Koma, who happened to be Mr. Diba. Mr. Diba from the University of the Gambia is a lecturer. Mr. Diba, can you please rise up? Dr. Diba, sorry. Dr. Diba. And all the different lecturers from the university and other institutions that are here for Abdul Koma. Now, we want to hear from Dr. Yaya Chan, but before that, we're just going to read a short biography of him. He's the Deputy Director, Position for Fintechs and Foreign Bureau, Supervision Department, effectively for the Central Bank of the Gambia. Now, we want to just highlight key things about him. He's a renowned international economics and a mathematician, a master's degree holder in financial economics and a PhD holder in economics from the University of the Gambia, Kingston University, London, UK, and Atlantic International University, USA. He is the principal in economic research department of the Central Bank of the Gambia. With over 18 years of experience, Dr. Chan is the author of 6 different kind of books on economics and social issues with a strong focus on research, policy insight, and social orderliness. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mr. Yaya Chan.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. The mic, okay. Thank you so much. Special greetings to Honorable Madam Bojang, Dr. Mama Sawane. I will call you Honorable Abdul Koma today, and Dr. Yusuf Toure, Honorable Musafa, or he else we say Ansu Jata, parents, friends, university students. I'm really pleased to be here today to celebrate and to showcase the fact that it's our turn, Africa, the Gambia especially, to start writing, to document what we know, what we think. It's something real, positive, interesting, and development oriented. And by extension, with the ability and the spirit, the spirit to ensure stability in our societies. The book, The Village of Roles, I want to be using to what I call the word prophet. When we talk about prophethood here, we mean the theological perspective. For example, Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Prophet Jesus. And I'm not talking about the theological part of it. The book we just produced, for me, is a kind of a theology that we really need to embrace and dig down. We need to polish the copies, read it thoroughly, digest it, and apply the content in our societies on a daily basis. I want to go by the presentation I have here for you today. I think I need more lights. Wow. I need more light. Yeah, right. Thank you. All right. I want to start by saying that writing a book is not small achievement, and it is like running a marathon alone, all alone. And then discovering at the end finish line that people expect you to say everything in a few minutes. That's what we are doing today. After you have really survived a very challenging task, writing the book is not something very easy. And the themes you really engage with have to do with development, institutions, leadership, structural constraints. I want to believe that leadership is very important in all what we do, from the homes to the schools, the streets, and governmental levels. To lead the people, the society, sensibly, agreeably, and to the interest of the people is a great and glorious object of the government. The school management, households, writers associations, the social media, especially of recent times. It's very important to know how to lead the people in what we say, what we write. It should be correct, authentic, and fruitful for consumption at all times. As I said, the themes of book engaged with in this book, development institutions, leadership, structural constraints, intersect closely with the work many of us do as economists and policymakers. This is not a comfortable book. I've gone through it. It's not a very comfortable. You have to be ready. You have to be very truthful. You have to be very tactful. We want to digest and accept the content of the book. But it is an honest one, I tell you this. An honest book for that matter, especially in societies that have grown, that are used to provide explanations for uncomfortable realities. Africa has come to remind us it's not sort of dreams. We have plenty of it. Africa is not sort of dreams, it's sort of honest mirrors, reflection of the realities. The dreams and the dreams of Africa holds up one such mirror. It reflects our contradictions squarely, vast natural and human resources alongside persistent poverty. Youthful energy trapped in systems that do not convert efforts into opportunities. Societies rich in culture but strained by weak governance. Abu does not write to embarrass Africa, not to embarrass us. He writes to comfort the conditions that keep repeating themselves because we have learned perhaps too well and to tolerate them. What makes these books particularly powerful is that it speaks to risk and fragility without resorting to academic terms. In economics, we sometimes talk about early warning indicators. In modern terms, I like to call this the voice of the world prophet. The voice of the world prophet. The world prophet does not shout, does not scream. It whispers through rising frustrations, normalized corruptions, exclusion, and institutional decay. When societies ignore these signals, inability does not arrive as a surprise. It arrives as a consequence because we fail to take actions despite our knowledge of everything. We should be fair, however, and avoid temptation of to blame systems alone. Governments are responsible, parents are responsible, everyone is responsible, so it's no blame game. Let's face the fact. Personal responsibility matters, leadership choices matter. As I often joke with friends and colleagues, even the best system cannot stop someone who is trying to do the wrong thing. But the other joke is that any good people will eventually make bad choices if they are trapped in bad system for long enough. That is where policy, institutions, and policies intersect. all should come together and honestly prevail on conditions that are relevant and applicable to our societies. This is where this book is essentially, or especially insightful. It shows how societies that fail to provide opportunity, dignity, and inclusion unintentionally manufacture risk, frustrations, accumulates, trust erodes, social chaos, and weakness. Over time, these social stresses translate into economic vulnerabilities, and political instability also will follow. Dangerous outcomes, in other words, are rarely born overnight. We prepare them over time. The word prophet warns us early, but only if we choose to listen. This book is warning us to listen, to be careful of the way we treat ourselves, including the women. We don't have to marginalize them. We should give them the opportunity to excel. They have the potential even more than average men. So let's not marginalize any other person, especially women. From an economic perspective, the agreements in this book align closely with what we see across Africa today, including the Gambia. Many of our economies struggle with currency depreciation and inflation. Prices are increasing, prices like share, prices are Alright, that's what we are facing right now. Alright, many of our economies struggle with currency depreciation and inflation. Central banks, where I come from, I want to speak on that, including ours, manage the demand side as best they can, but development cannot be pretend. Development cannot be pretend. The economic policy stops at interest rates and exchange rates and does not engage the real economy, including agriculture, industry, and skills, and of course, women in particular, productivity as well. Then frustration deepens and resilience weakens. This has been demonstrated by the drills and goals. This is where economic policy was moved beyond numbers. Broad figures mean little if young people and women see no vision in their lives. We talk about fiscal balances, little in our institutions. Fiscal balance means little if institutions lack credibility. That's very key to understand. National progress is not measured only in percentages and ratios, but in whether citizens believe in effort they will be rewarded. And women rewarded accordingly are given positions in as much as men are given in our societies. We have to look into that. There's an African proverb that when the roots of a tree begin to decay, it spreads death into the branches. Many institutions are those decaying roots. They damage not only growth statistics but trust, cohesion, and national confidence. Amin is right to emphasize that Africa's renewal depends on its youth. And then sidelining women is not only unjust but economically reckless and careless. A society that excludes large parts of its population, which is the women's fault, should not be surprised when instability follows. As I read the book a couple of days ago, I was reminded of my own experience as an author and as a policy practitioner. I often diagnose Africa's problems with impressive variety. Then that postpone actions until tomorrow. We do that. We like that Africa. We like to say, next day, next Friday, next tomorrow. We should graduate from that. Unfortunately, tomorrow has been busy for the last 50 years. The drills and tools of Abdu challenges that habit. It insists that resilience, economic, social, and institutional must be built. Deliver now. We should do it now. Okay, not for tomorrow. This book is policymakers to see it, they should grab it and really read it, not to put it on their sides. About Abdu's congratulations once again. I'm really impressed by the output we have really demonstrated. That is not only for Gambian people. They have given us not just a book, but a mirror. And perhaps more importantly, a warning wrapped in book. I'm strongly recommending this book to anyone to have a copy before we go home. Please don't put it at the back of yourselves. Let's read it and apply the content. Thank you so much.
In our African society, Senegambia, in particular various communities, who live peaceful and harmony. Their communities are Kula who migrated from Futajano, Wala from Sahara, Wala from Asian, Ghana Empire, Mandingo from Kankama in Mali, Jola who migrated from Zimbabwe. However, in each of these communities has a social group which have the running community, where each has their unique responsibility and function that makes a society. In it, there is noble group, high class or royal family, commoners, trader and farmer, better skill-oriented, speech who makes two seven pattern, slave hosts for their master, which will highlight their individual roles and responsibility. We have the noble.
We play a vital role in our society by narrating history, praising king and sharing information. We use different tools for work, such as drum, kora, flute, and flute. Each has that distance to empathy, informative. So tell me, a society that will not need a griot, who can you go on?
Now we have learned and understand the roles and functions of griots. We have the leather workers.
Our role and function to society is to transform animal hide into useful products that are essential for dignity. Traders and labor. Our work support both practical and informal travel and trade. Tell me, a society that does not need our service and skill.
Now we have learned and understand the roles and functions of leather workers. We have this myth.
I am a smith. No more in money. Now we're in the Tagal in Wolof and kingdom and other kingdom. Our society needs manpower. Our rules and functions are very important in our community, so we should be treated with respect and not disrespect.
Now we have learned and understand the roles and functions of slaves.
In our community, Ekula community, Wallaf community, Jola community, Sarahula community, all of them have a hierarchy in each function and responsibility. Each of those social groups should be cherished and respected for their unique rules and responsibilities. In some societies, so many have misinterpreted. So many have abused while some do not comprehend. It is high time we put emphasis on this to outgrow our misconception. A high class doesn't mean you are better than others or they should be treated badly or disrespected. In some society, we understand peace has no place to receive help. This led the young ones in a state of confusion and devastation. In some society, nobles don't marry someone from another social group. This has caused more harm than good in our society. In some communities, slaves and nobles do not pray or sit in the same car. This is turmoil and war in our community.
Our brings exceptional experience in governance, communication, women empowerment, and youth development. As chairperson of the group, our visionary leadership and insightful contribution continue to inspire positive change and national development in governance, leadership, girls' education, and women empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the launcher of this book, Madam Ami Pizarro. Round of applause for her. She's been a key sponsor of this event and other young people's event who invest in her time and her resources to make sure that young people are actualizing their dreams in the country and beyond. A round of applause for her. I know that there is a lot of young people in this country.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, members of the High Table, and special greetings to Abdul Koma and families and friends, lecturers, students, and even the uninvited guests who just turned up here. Thank you very much for joining Abdul on this day. As they say, my name is Ami Bojang Sisoho. Even my name shows the discrimination women have been facing. People ask me, are you Bojang or Sisoho? I tell them I'm both. because we had a system that forced us to choose, and we were defiant. That's why we chose the double barrel name. I'm a broadcaster by profession. We were told to choose which name to use. I was born and named Abibojan as a broadcaster. That's the name I use. But on our papers, they told us to choose whether we are Mrs. or Miss. To choose Mrs. Sissoho means my Bojan name will disappear. I say, what about if I am divorced in between and I have started using Sissoho, nobody knows my Bojan name, what happens? So that's why some of us as activists, we have the double barrel names. You will see my generation of activists, you will see that name coming up, having two names. The reason I support Abdul, I don't know Abdul from anywhere. It's through social media that I detected and followed Abdul. I read his posts, I followed what he did. And still now I do, even though I'm very busy, at all times I do on social media to follow key people who I think are transformative in their thoughts and how we need to change ourselves to change our society. I appreciate Abdul for being a young person. Over 15 years ago, when I trained around Abdul's community and having representatives from Ascending, I didn't know that I was going to be with Abdul here today. We were just doing what Abdul is telling us to do. Reflect, change through advocacy. And it is how we have become mother and son today. So Abdul, congratulations and keep it up. The dribble and rolls of Africa. I am so busy these days. I leave home very early, I go home very late. It is when I'm in the vehicle that I will read Abdul's book, because I don't want to be in the dark when it comes to what Abdul writes. Picking up, I realized that the publication of the book is also timely. It is about politics of life. What is politics of life? Dr. gave us a definition of politics here. Organizing ourselves. How do we organize ourselves? Who are we? We all claim one word, citizens. But as citizens, as Abdul put it, we have responsibility. It is when we feel our responsibilities, that is when Abdul's questions become relevant. He asks us questions. He asks questions about being political. I would like to really quote the phrase he said, hygienic politics. Why hygienic? Politics should be politics. If it is unhygienic, who made it so? Abdul forces us to think about that. Abdul forces us because he raises the questions of when choosing our leaders. We choose our leaders based on pride. We choose our leaders based on our proximity, who we know. Abdul advises us to look beyond that and choose leaders based on ability and the potential and the hope that they will bring change we want. But we have to ask ourselves, if Africa is still poor, after over 60 years of independence, how come? People will raise the big elephant in the house, corruption. But then the question is, what is corruption? Because we need to know something before we deal with it. When Abdul tells us corruption, directly or indirectly, is affecting our lives, we have to then ask, what is corruption? If corruption is something we are all guilty of, then how are we going to solve it? Then we have to look in the mirror, as my dear brother said here, look at ourselves and then see whether we are a reflection of what we want to be. If corruption is talked about in public spaces, the first thing that comes to mind is officials in positions of authority, the leaderships, whether it's at the highest level, middle level, or at the lower level, whether it's in a formal setting or informal setting. We have to question what corruption is. Can corruption be done by one person? No. The minimum you can have for corruption to take place will have to be at least 2 people. That's what they all say, one bango will not make noise. You must have 2 or more. If our leaders are corrupt, then are they mirroring our society? We have to look at it. Because Abdul reminded us the values we have in the past. And those values came with resilience, responsibility, hard work. As you saw in the performance by the young people here, they showed us how our elders use and organize themselves in a political way to survive. One is a smith, one is a slave, one is a leather worker. All that is not because of the higher dignity of the person. It's about organizing our society. That is politics. Organizing our society in such a way that each of us will have responsibility towards the greater good. Even the ones we call the noble, they may not be the smith, they may not be the leather worker, they may not be the slave, but they also have responsibility towards those slaves. We were told that because you are the noble, when the slave works, then you also take responsibility of everything else in feeding the slave, clothing the slave, housing the slave. There were responsibilities and roles that were there, clearly spelled out for society. But because society corrupted itself, I will not say people corrupt society, we corrupted ourselves. How did we corrupt ourselves? If today I am the slave, I do all the work, yet if my noble master or whatever decided not to provide for me, then I will not be sincere and genuine in the labor I provide for that person. That's corruption. It's beginning, it's coming out. Let's move forward to our generation, where Abdul reminds us that if the leaders are corrupt and not doing the right thing, poverty entrenches itself. If the leaders are in the system we call it, that is government, then government does business with who? Government does business with the business people outside of government. So if government, for example, tells you to construct the road from, let's say, Baragari, and it is $100, you decide that, oh, Officer X is not earning $10. So let me give him $20 so that he will be able to fast track my paperwork. Who is corrupt? Businessman is corrupt. The officer is corrupt because the officer signed up to say, I'm going to work for a service on a contract. That is, I agreed to receive this salary. When I acknowledge and receive and accepted that appointment, there's a salary attached to it, and I accept it. Why should I then insist that the person I'm giving service to should pay me again? That is corruption. So this is why the issue of corruption has to be examined at different levels. If the cleaner is given a bottle of bleach, you empty half of it and take it home. Is the cleaner corrupt or not? The cleaner is corrupt. If the driver is supposed to buy 10 liters and he buys 8 liters, is the driver corrupt or not? He's corrupt. So, when we come to the society, I know that I need something, and this is the policy that says that this is the route you should pass through. The process is A, B, and C. I want to jump A and B and come to C because my auntie or my uncle is in that position. Am I corrupt as an outsider or not? I am corrupt. So we are all corrupt. Now, let us go back to what Abdul is. Let us look at ourselves. The resources we have as human beings, our human capacity, and review how we utilize that capacity. With sincerity, with dignity, with commitment, and every day we stand up, even today, before we started with our national anthem, reviewing our pledge. And the promise, what are they just words? Or are they things we internalize to be able to achieve what Apple is calling for? If we dribble and we follow the draws in our continent, in our country, in our homes, in our society, then we have to reflect again. We cannot change from outside. We have to change inside as individuals because it is individuals that make up society. If we change as individuals, then we will have a beautiful society because nobody will go and hit your neighbor's door or fence. Nobody will break your neighbor's window. Nobody will go to office and pick up something that is not yours, not to make sure that it is not just appearing in the papers, but you ensure that you create a system in such a way that you will be able to check that very system that you created. If we are not honest, if we are not straightforward, if we are not truthful and courageous to be able to assert the truth, we will not change Abu for years and years and years. But you know why? I am very hopeful. With Abus around in the Gambia, these young girls today further give me hope. You will realize on the high table, I'm the only woman, and I'm not among the doctors. One of the reasons, the first thing my parents thought about me is to get married. After high school, before you even know what you have, whether you pass or fail, thank God you reach home right. The next thing is the marriage is on Thursday. They are lucky today that they will be saved from the predicament some of us have gone through. That is because change is taking place, but because it's so slow, we cannot see it. If it wasn't for change, I would not be standing here today as the Director of Press at the Office of the President, coming to discuss on a public forum issues that are political. If it wasn't for change that happened, that would not happen. But because change has happened, and we have seen and tested how change can bring in freedom, we eager for more. As I forgot the literature term, where the guy said, asking for more. My literature teacher will kill me. Anyway, but what I'm trying to push is, because it's so nice to be free, we are taking it for granted. And because one of the speakers said here, when you stretch your hand to say, I am free, this is my right, be careful not to touch the pieces, because peace also starts from there. So, roles and responsibilities are key in society for us to have a stable society with stability, with dignity, with human beings progressing without obstructing each other. Because if we follow rules and responsibilities, we will respect the diversity that we have in society. It is only when you respect diversity that you will acknowledge that even though I am different with you, I have a different opinion from you, still we respect each other, we shake hands, because what we are all fighting for is for the betterment of one thing, that is the Gambia. Because we all want the best for the Gambia, the issue now becomes, which route do we take? I want to come to Bruce Lee here today at the motherland. We came up to Cape Point Junction. The driver said, I'm going via Cape Point. I said, no, I'm coming through the Batin Harding Highway. He said, no, but we'll get to Batin Harding Highway because we have to go through Cape Point, come back, and then we get to Batin Harding Highway. That is the difference when it comes to partisan politics. No politician will tell you, I don't want schools to be built for my children. No politician will tell you, I don't want hospitals, or I don't want roads. I don't want water for my people. No, they all want the same thing. The difference is how do we do it, and how do we get there? These are the differences. So therefore, why should we fight over it to reach a stage where it brings us to what Abdul says and calls tribalism in politics? It should not be there if we are all genuine, wanting the same thing for the country. All we need to do is convince each other. Is it better to come from Banyu straight to Batin Harding or go through Cape Point to come to Batin Harding? That's all we need to do. Then we will not have hate speech, we will not have tribalism, we will not have religious biases or any other biases or differences, even to the risk of having gender biases in politics. Why? We come back to what we all tend to celebrate, culture. For me, culture is dynamic. It's not static, it changes with times and generations. With that change taking place, it is influenced by knowledge through education, sensitization, and exposure. So therefore, with our generation today, if you tell my mother that it is Ami who is standing on the platform, talking to the public where men are, from her grave she will be shaking. Because that was not expected of women. But now, the question is, if we do not want Ami to stand here as a female to talk, yet still, all the men here proudly call themselves husbands and fathers, brothers. So, why? What's the hypocrisy there? It's a hypocrisy. It's just because it doesn't touch us, then it's okay. But when it touches us, we fight back. And remember that there's only one seat. And that position in government is very limited. That is why everybody is fighting for it. Let us fight, but let us fight the right way. If we fight the right way, Africa will be proud of itself. The resources Abdul mentioned in the book that are available to Africa, we can maximize it if we fight corruption within and outside. And if it is Africans who go out to exploit the very resources they have and give it to the outsiders, then how can we claim and blame outsiders? So whenever we point a finger, let's look at the one pointing to us, so that we will be able to address ourselves to bring about change and make sure that the rights we are crying to make sure that we enjoy them the right way. I love when Abdul writes about women's issues and gender, because that's my passion. When he wrote in his book that he used his pen to fight for the human rights of the girl child, I was like smiling, because he just have to use his pen. We have to go and sweat it in Basende, in Giroba, in Woodley, for it to be recognized. And through that, we have to go. You said you have to, somebody said every 100 success, there is 1,000 challenges along with it. We had to go through that, Abdul. So don't give up. That's why I always support such people who I feel that they are carrying on my cause. I personalize it because I feel it, I lived it. That is why I love it. So each of us have responsibility. Our responsibility is to ensure that what we want outside to see in other people is right there within us. If I want him to be good, I should be able to practice goodness in me so that I reflect what I want in that person. We all have responsibility. It has been a long one and a long day for all of us, but I have to say thank you, Abdul. Thank you, everyone, for taking your time to listen to me. Thank you.
One more time for ING program. Thank you so much for that insightful explanation. Your presentation was key, and some of the key takeaways I've jotted down here is clean and hygienic facilities. I just wanted to share a short story. Back in 2023, I was holding a national exhibition at Babalaji Hotel, and I get to meet my brother, Abdulkoma. I was looking for poetry performance. And at some point, he reached out and said, I wanted to perform. I said, hey, I would love to have your book, but I am out of budget, and I hope you are ready to perform for free. Guess what? They responded and said, I don't need you to pay money for me to come and perform. From that moment, I held this man up high, because we live in a society where everybody else put money and funding in front of their dignity and integrity. From that onwards, I hope you have a brother, and up to now, I always tell young people that the arena for craft, for art, for education, for agriculture, it's not a competition among ourselves as youths. We need to be an allies together, alongside fighting by each other, being an armed forces and expecting to push the agenda of the Gambia. But that cannot happen without us seeing each other as opposition. And what is happening for this generation is we still have leaders that we are looking up to who do not see eye to eye with each other on politics. And if you happen to invite some that belongs to the opposition party, they will ask you, because of so and so is invited in your event, I cannot perform. I hope that all of us young people that are rising up, we will not look at other people from different political parties, from different religion or tribe as enemies, but as allies. Because the key of diversity of the world is how all of us are different. Because imagine all of us have the same face, same height, same everything. No one of us will be inspired. Because of diversity, that's why we are looking up to people. That's why when someone passes, we look at the height, look at the face, look at the nose, or something else. So I hope that Young people see each other as allies, as armed forces that is ready to move in the end of the Gambia instead of doing an unhealthy competition like Auntie Ami said, better long Buchanan. Better long Buchanan said, if you want to go far, you need to go with people because you cannot achieve anything without the input of other people alongside or rallying behind you. Now we are set to hear from another poet from the UK. His name is Abdul Karim. We are set to hear from him. An applause for our poet from the UK. Let's encourage him.
Hello, good evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So I'm privileged to be up here today. It's an opportunity for Abdul Karim. Yes, please. He's up there. So yeah, I had the opportunity to meet Abdul Karim, and it's not been a long time, but for the time that I'm on, you show true heart, true energy. Talk from a perspective that is close to my heart also. I'm the great grandson of Gordon McKay, who's a famous poet, the first Jamaican American poet. And what he used to talk about from a black people's perspective, there's a lot of pain and a lot of struggle and a lot of corruption in his lifetime. Apple also speaks from this genre, being from Africa, and he sees his struggle, he sees his people, he sees the level, and he sees where things need to go, in the direction it needs to go in order for all of us to prosper, in order for all of us to reach a level where we can be comfortable. So I appreciate what he's done. As a poet and as a dedication to both Abdul and my great grandfather, I have a small poem to recite, and it goes like this. Jealousy is a killer. It is a lot of pressure. We put that weight on our shoulders to be other soldiers. Time runs slow when we needed to run, and opportunities are put, so we just can't quit. Being strong for you, it might be wrong to do. If anything other than this reality, we have to open up our eyes and make sure we can see, because there's a lot of corruption and PCO that we fought through to split away. Day by day, God, we still holding on, thinking about our past even though it was dead wrong. We can never ever forget what's happened, because when things happen for reasons. Mood swing changes, different like seasons. The reason for that because people don't chat. Words when it comes from them, good words. For that, we get glad. As we walk around town, we have a sound in our ear. We're thinking about our upsets, our strengths, and our fears. Dreams come true, but the nightmares are reality. The worst kind of feeling is when things turn to fatality. In the middle of our capital, we have messed up market, and a lot of people missing by the way people get their first in. We chat about the worst one. But the worst one is the stereotypical with black skin. It's a factory. People aiming at the grind. We're all rolling through the middle, we're in the field, but they can't blame us. It's been waiting for us. Materialistic pleasure was a soulful rush that we brush. Even though we're tarnished with the same old brush, that made fuss where I come from, London is dangerous. Hey, it's all good, it's all different. People changing lanes, but we're still different. We want to be one, we unite as one. I came from UK to Gambia, I said, Alhamdulillah, Allah Akbar. He gave me a chance to look after my father and go forward. Alhamdulillah.
Now we are set to hear from the book reviewer, and we have here with us Mr. Musa Abak. Mr. Musaba is a renowned educationist and public speaker with extensive experience in education and community development. He's one of the finest English and educators that we have in the Gambia who are more than writers, musicians, editors, educationists, and many more. Very humble young man, very, very humble. Round of applause for Mr. Musaba. He taught extensively. He's going to do a review of the book.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. I start by recognizing members of the High Table, particularly Mrs. Ami Bojang Sisoho. We have communicated many a time on social media, but today is the first day we are meeting in person. Madam, it is nice meeting you, and I acknowledge the presence of all the members of the High Table, particularly Abdul Komar, who is the reason for our gathering here today. Actually, Abdul and I didn't know each other until recently, when he reached out and said that he has written a book and he would like me to do the editing. Of course, I am always happy to help in my little way people who venture into writing, particularly young people. But what made me more interested in editing Abdul's book is the fact that he has dedicated a huge portion of the book on promoting girls and women empowerment. This is something that is dear to my heart. It is very important to me. Since I started teaching at Nusrat Senior Secondary School, I have made efforts to encourage young people to acquire knowledge, further their education, particularly girls. But another important area which made me enthusiastic about editing and working on this book is the fact that it is talking about the problems that we have in Africa. In other words, the decay that we see from different perspectives. And being a teacher, he requested me to speak on how education contributes to this decay. And I am only too happy to do that. I prepared something, but I'm going to put it aside and speak from the heart as a teacher. When the young people performed here, it brought a lot of ideas to mind. The young people told us about the different roles that different segments of society performed. Now, you know, when we have laws, when there is a law from the United Nations or from the African Union, when it comes to the Gambia, it goes to the National Assembly, what do? They call it domesticate. They domesticate the law. That means they tailor it to match our needs in the country. But that is something we have not done about our education, about our development, and that, to me, is the root of our problems. Now, imagine the young people. One said they are leather workers. The other work with steel, iron, whatever. If we had domesticated our education, it would have identified
the talent and potential of those trades and nurture them and give them what they need so that they will become our innovators in technology, in whatever we need. A few months ago, I initiated a television program called Focus on Education. And my first guest was my friend, Professor Pierre Gomez, who is the Minister for Higher Education in the Gambia. And what we talked about is skills acquisition. That is something that Gambia really needs to look into. You look at any need that arises, many a time, if not all, we will need experts from Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana to come and fix those problems. Why can't we do that in the Gambia? Why can't we equip our young people with the skills that they need so that they will do that work here, solve those problems, and we will succeed? That is a key thing we need to look at. After hosting Professor Gomez, I hosted the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, and some other people who are into skills education in the country. For me, that is very important. And I am happy that recently the Ministry of Higher Education has been doing a lot of work in equipping young people, in giving young people the opportunity to learn skills, be able to serve their countries. And that is a welcome change. It is very, very important, very, very necessary, particularly in the times that we live in. You see, I was watching BBC News the other day, and I watched the Prime Minister of Canada complaining about the way that America, the president in particular, Donald Trump, is treating them and the rest of the world. But then, if you look at it, it is the same way those countries, Canada included, and the European Union, treated Africans in the past. But today, Donald Trump has turned the tables, and they are crying foul. Now, what that should tell us is that we have to stand on our own. We have to be prepared to stand up on our own. And to do that, we need skills. We need food. We need our people to be educated so that whatever we need, we can do for ourselves. You see, in Wolof, there's a saying that kuy wàlli yaani dafa fekk sa kër toggul. If you are going to seek food outside, it is because they did not cook in your house. But if your house there is food, you will not go outside. So that brings me to the next problem, which is related or connected to the lack of skills. It leads to young people trying to migrate, go to the West by hook or by crook, whatever means. Because they do not have skills to solve their problems here, to tackle the challenges, so they want to go to the West. Now, our culture, our tradition has great lessons that we could have learned and inculcated into our education system, and it will solve a lot of our problems. I'll just give you one short story. I am a Fula, as you can imagine, guess, Musabba. Originally, I come from Badibu. There's a village called Yuna. Yuna, the founder of Yuna, that's my great-great-grandfather. Now, the story is very interesting. When he came to this settlement, It was in the middle of the rainy season with his herd of cattle, no settlement. And a neighbor in a neighboring settlement, that place is called Yalal. The head of that family told him that, okay, I will give you food and a place to make a hut and live there. He gave a place where they constructed their hut and then gave him a load of food, coals, to survive until the end of the rainy season. But this man had already planned for that. He had his own grain to feed his family. So he accepted the gift and thanked him, but left it there. He did not touch it. He continued to eat what he had brought for himself until it was time for harvesting. You know, those who know coos, when it ripens, there are a lot of birds which go around picking it. So people used to be there to make sure that the birds do not eat everything. So the one who gave him shelter, sent a young man and told this man that, send me one of your sons, because you have many children, to come and guard my farm because there are many birds. When he went, he said, no, my son is not going to do that. The old man sent word to him. He said, don't you know that the food that you have been eating throughout the rainy season was protected like that, so it's your child's turn? He said, no, I have not eaten your food. It is here. You can come and take it. Now, the idea is, if he had sent that son would have become his slave, the slave of the host, and it will continue like that. And that is why this great-grandfather said, no, he will not do that. Now, Africans did not beg. We did not beg for our survival. We worked for it. Begging was not in the culture of Africans. Everyone made sure that you worked and ensured that your family is well fed and they don't go outside to beg, to seek for food. That is what we have forgotten. And there are many little things which contribute to it. Let me give you one example. When it is Korite or Tobaski, our children go around doing this salibo. For me, that is something that is so bad. It is teaching children to beg. You know, in the past, it used to be that children will go to distant relatives, greet them so that they will know each other. That's it. But now, especially in the combos here, children go around to every house, whether they know you or do not know you, begging. So those children grow up with that mentality. And then they become minister, they become president or permanent secretary. What do you think? They will think that every problem you want to come to Europe and beg. There are a lot of problems we need to solve in this country. And we have the tools to solve them. And the tool is simply our tradition. One of the most important commodities of development is peace. In Africa, we have something, a mechanism of promoting peace that we left to die down, which we should not have. We should re-inculcate it. About a decade ago, I wrote an article in the newspapers, The Standard and The Voice and some other newspapers. It was called, "We Did Not Need Police Stations in Africa." When there is trouble, conflict, say between a Jola man and family or some other person, a Fula man will come from nowhere and come and say, hey, keep quiet. And the Jola man will be compelled to keep quiet. He will not argue. Vice versa, if a Fula is fighting, any Jola or little Sere can come and tell him, shut up, and he will shut up. You see, I led a group of students on an exchange visit in Sweden. And the principal of the school that we visited, who was a very observant person, Mr. Johan, he asked me something. He said, I have seen that although your students are not afraid of you, they have some form of difference, some respect for you. But there is one of them who is so free with you, I do not know the reason why. I said, it is simple, you will not understand. That's an African thing. The student he referred to was called Usman Dur. He now works for Reliance. I said, this boy is serene. I am a Fula. There is a traditional link between us. Nothing he says can make me angry. Nothing I say should make him angry. So that connection is there. That is what you don't understand. I said, that is what we use to maintain peace in Africa. Where are those values? What is wrong with us? Why are we losing those values? It is very simple. Language. When you lose your language, you lose your culture. We did not lose our language, we abandoned it. It would have been marvelous if in this gathering I was speaking Mandinka to you, or Wolof, or Pular. We would have been able to keep those traditions. I asked a group of experts at one meeting last year a question. I said, if there is anyone who could tell me a word for the joking relationship that we have between these ethnic groups, is there any word that you can find in English? It's not there. French, it's not there. So how do we expect to keep our culture, our tradition, if we abandon our language? I will therefore make a call again that I have made in several fora. I'll make it here again. Let us go back to our languages. Let us speak and write in our languages. That is the way, that is the solution to most of our problems. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I was very kindly relate to my heart. The emphasis on the need to have skill development is very vital. Now we are taking care from a musician in the London who happen to be Group for Life, the manager of Mohammed for the land, and we are ready to be a set Group for Life.
One day, son, one people good over evil. But again, as I do tell, yeah, hold it, video, Gambia, let me see the signals. Let me see the Gambian lighters. Yeah, congratulations to our brother Abdul Koma. Yeah, you ready? Let me see your mobile signals. All right, okay, boy, here we go. Unification, segregation, blood disorder, KDF, Jubilee, powers. Hey, Kapinya Papa Abel, hey, another word is one Gambia. Like this. One Gambia, one nation, one good over. Alright, good. You know, Kevin. Alright. Hey, Kabiya Papa, you never send that. Leader Patel, you the Kasijama, Namiara Gumba, Sajama, hey, Somali Gambia. One, good over evil, one Gambia, one nation, one good over evil. If you make a video, you're the new Zamana.
Jamala, yo real Jamala. You make a via, yo real Jamala, yo real Jamala. Baby, I'm the Ajana. You ain't a single beer one day you do. You got the baby, the baby man. What all you done, the little you said to my sausage all of my jago. All we say, it's a whole apple. What about so damn good? You really it, no. No. Making one. Good over evil. One Gambia, one nation. Next tune, DJ. I'm with time. You know. Do for life. Keep the faith music. Hey, Jabal Malo DJ. And then the work is Gambia. Develop. Next level. So kind of new level. The work is skyscrapers. Huh? Another work is Alberto. Another work is your good education. Another work is your good health. Yeah? Alright, development. You know? Okay. Yeah, let me see your Gambian signal. Alright, come on. Music. And like this money, you're gonna call you don't know, my head, oh, my head, oh, my day, you want, what I'm on the heart, system back in me, money, but in the malo, it's on my head, you are happy for men, money, yo, and a super, I'm going down it, dig up a window, come on, you know it. Economical crisis, employ the youths and pay them bigger salary. Every youth we have been like a winner lottery. Achieving goal till we say there is free.
Entitled Africa. We are the children of Africa, born and raised from the bowels of nature and dust with our rose-colored hair and sun-bitten skin. Just like our forefathers who were dragged down the shallow pits with clanks of iron chains around their waists. It created a rhyme, bringing forth crises and stories of their journey to a place of no return. We have seen beyond the night of 1,000 years and our hearts have not been defeated. We are fighters, fighting for the tumult of 1,000 souls that have been kept wanting, seeking revenge for our pride that was snatched from our doors. We are indigents of how they came with their gold-crested seats and endearing smiles. We were smitten by the tale told of a man where our people will swell up in their bellies from bountiful living. We gave them our identity, our unfortunate land on which our heart reigns as our feet shall bear foot with naked limbs and rounded bellies filled with the fruit from our mother nature. We told our tales just before they told theirs, under the moonlit night in the silence of our youth. The stars yet witness to the days when our hearts lived in pride and our mouths were filled with songs and chants of the glories of our land. We wanted to be like them. As they strolled through the path with their leather boots, recognizing a road jewels that more than left for us. We will give them our jewels in exchange of this life they have painted with inks of belief. We will cover our path. Love, we will cover our path. Lost our God and our language will become violence to our God. We will learn of a man who will deliver us from this barbaric life we were told we live. We will renew our minds, our beliefs, what we held to. We will become as step-born again, seeking the pride in fail in the long night of condemnation. This is what it means to be an African. From the time of the Atlantic slave trade, the colonial era, harmony and love, unity and peace, tracing it down from the ancient empire that existed. Babi Yakunawasa, Nukan Waya Chima, Kapi Wasabarian Sasana Ninjawe Pagyan. Kowen Metata, done for sometimes all I could do is to hold back my tears, smile and act like nothing is wrong. It's called putting everything aside and act of being strong. Hold back my tears because lately I have noticed that this is a sad generation of people struggling to survive through smiling face and pretty pictures. If day is long, if night is cold. A story of pain too deep to be told. Africa, you are the breath of the beginning, the plot of the world. Steady and ensign your life thread like him to the heaven. It holds on a promise, it shadow a dream. You are the soul where life is awoke. Your rivers are not waters, they are veiled. Africa, you are not a land. You are the order of dream. But today I will be proud. Say it loud in the heart of the earth, the soul of the green. The color of the land, the beat of the drum, the voice of the people. A poet to remind us where we are belong. Abdu, a dreamer with the heart of gold, created a brand where souls are told. Turning fabric into simple, bright and bold, so that nothing be known but the message be told. Each step a step, each speech a song, each color a memory, important a history, telling us where we all belong. This is what it means to be an African, and we are proud to be African. We are proud. Mr. Komma, thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone. My name is Rohi El Sisei, and I'm here to represent Mr. Chinegum Igwe, who is the Executive Director of the International Association of African Authors and Scholars. African writers are pen warriors. In this book, Abdu goes war with his pen for solutions from corruption, ineffective rulers, nepotism, tribalism, acquisition of excessive personal wealth, marginalization, and leadership without the vision of nation building. Sometimes I want to cry for Africa's resources, both humans and mineral wasting above the beneath the soil, but I have run out of tears, and Abdu has come to help us not to cry, but to offer solutions with his book. I am happy to be part of this book project as a solution. This book is a way forward to victory and not backward reflection. Abdu is fighting for Africa in this book, but this fight is not for him alone. This is a collective fight, and everyone is invited to rescue our amazing continent of Africa. But we can conquer without strategy. Abdu has the plan in this book, so let's buy this book and read it and follow the guide to win for Africa. In conclusion, the International Association of African Authors and Scholars organization is another solution for Africa in coordination with the ALI program, where we train African leaders from the grassroots, learning leadership skills first before leadership position, for individual development, organizational growth, and nation building. Also, youth engagement is a positive investment towards nation building, and the ALI Continental Campus will engage candidates and scholars with visionary leadership curriculum and long-term prediction to make them focus with aggregate reading skills and transform them collectively from informed readers into great leaders. Abdu has inspired me deeply, and I want everyone here to carry this truth. I will stand by him, his courage, his pen, his vision. They deserve empowerment. They deserve our collective strength. Let this moment be remembered as the day we choose not just to applaud Abdu, but to walk with him side by side until Africa rises. Abdu, I stand with you, and Africa will never forget. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, LCCA, for that inspirational speech. Now, we are almost at the tail end. We want to back the pledge and finally be here
of the author himself.
Science, leadership to inspire a new generation of change makers. He is the author of The Blind Bridges of Law, a widely published work available on major international platforms, and a communist whose writing basically on governance, social justice, climate change, peace, and have appeared in leading Gambian media. Currently, he is pursuing his PhD in biology with a minor in environmental science at the University of the Gambia. Abu is also deeply engaged in youth empowerment, civic leadership, and environmental advocacy. Through his writing, activism, and media work, Abu Rahman continues to use words, knowledge, and service to drive positive change in the Gambia and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, a standing ovation for the man of the moment, Mr. Abdul Rahman. Please let's rise up for the only author in the building. Another applause, please, and please celebrate this man. I don't want everyone who have this much too solid book. Give us something.
Greetings, everybody. I think today I am overwhelmed. I was supposed not to give a speech because the video presented here have really said everything about me and the fatigue I have taken to bring this book into life. I firstly have to recognize the presence of the honorable guest speakers, Dr. Sawane, the Permanent Secretary of Health, Ami Bojan Sisoho, Mr. Baba Jah, Brother of the Night, and the special guests who also take their precious times to come and witness this day of history, and of course the audience. I will say a big thank you to all of you. Mr. Seka, the printer of the Dream Roots and the Rules of Africa, he is right there. Thank you so much for coming. And my father, Nkoma, thank you so much for holding a young man who is currently breaking barriers in the Gambia and beyond. Dr. Diba, thank you for supporting me. Mr. Conte, thank you so much. Yes, I am a boy from a very small village. We call it Pacific. It has always been a journey of resilience, a journey of dedication, and of course, a journey of sacrifice. I will not eradicate doubts because I was coward. But I want to understand that whenever you start something, especially the first time of anything in life, the prospect of failing are always higher than the prospect of succeeding. And of course, I was not an exception. I can vividly remember when I started writing in Nasir Ahmadiyya Muslim State Secondary School. My beloved classmates can attest to that. I received a lot of discouragement that I cannot be a writer. Science students are not good writers. Some of my chemistry teachers will tell me, no, you have to forget about this. This is not your area. But I believe so much in myself that I think I can do this. And I have started writing poems at a very low level. I can remember my first poem. People will start laughing at my poem, like that problems of stanzas, because I never did literature. That was the problem. But with continuous persistence, dedication, I start writing and sending to great writers, start viewing my write-up, publish them. With that, I grow gradually until I, of course, realize my potentials. And this is why today you are celebrating me. I authored my first book, which is The Blind Bridges of Law. It was my first publication. Of course, it was one of the most hardest journey I have ever embarked on. But like I said, dedication pushed me through, and the support of my family and loved ones made me travel through this journey. So I will not venture into saying much about myself, because the video highlighted here speak about myself. Then I will talk about the dream rules and the rules of Africa. Like I said, you realize Africa has been struggling. We are still at a crossroad. For centuries, Africa has been depending on our fellow continents. For centuries, our directions have been controlled. For centuries, our resources have been used in our own country. For the longest time, Africans cannot think for themselves. For the longest time, if we need good roads, good engineers, we have to go to Europe and America. For the longest times, Africans cannot use their own brains and think for themselves. For the longest time, Africans don't stop killing each other. For the longest time, we are busy looting our own economy. This has raised a significant call in my heart that I cannot stand and see Africa bleeding in her own soul. I am a writer. The only thing I could do is to use my pen and change lives. I started thinking, if people talk, I think there is more to do with talking. That is to apply what you do, which is pragmatism. We need pragmatism in what we do. And this is what I have highlighted in the dribbles and the rules of Africa. Of course, I outlined the importance of good governance. For the ages we have realized, our leaders always promise us with good development. They will come to society and preach unattainable goals, and we, of course, succumb and have appetite to what they say, only to realize that we are still stagnant as a continent. As writers, we cannot stand to see these things, these perils continues in Africa. This has pushed my spirit to bring these dribbles and the tools of Africa into life. And I hope this book will change narratives, this book will change lives, this book will change concepts, this book will change our misconduct in society, because that is the reason of writing, to change lives. I will not venture in the same mode. Like I said, this is a call to Africa that we need to rise again and fight our continent. The fight for our continent, because the children are the future of Africa. If we don't stand today, Africa will pass and will never stand by her side. And I always say this, for us to develop as a nation, we must reflect back to our cultures. We must reflect back to where we are going. And this is why still we have problems, because we are chasing something which is not ours, and our directions is still in the blue. So I will not venture say much. Like I said, I thank my father for always supporting me from the onset. Initially, he gave me tough times, so very to be that boy who studied very hard. I told him initially he didn't like me, but alhamdulillah, today people are celebrating his son. It's a testimony to any young man here. You need to keep working hard. Dreams will only come true. Dreams will only come true when you take your first step. You will be doubted. They will say you cannot do it. If I am the boy from the trenches of Pasadena, California, and write 2 books as a science student, I believe you from Sare Musa can do it. I believe if I from Pasadena can do it, you from Chamber can do it. I'm quoting the same words. So there is no limitation to what you can do in life. Start the journey now, and of course you will see the success. I thank you all, my organizing committee, for the privilege. And I thank the audience for really making this event alive. Without you people, this event will not happen. And I say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.
I am Paul Odufar, the secretary of the organizing committee. First off, big thanks goes to every member of the organizing committee who has dedicated his time and energy over the past months, stood side by side with Abdul to make sure that we have a successful event today. Thank you all. To the honorable speakers, special guests, we extend sincere gratitude to every one of you for dedicating time for being here with us despite their busy schedules. Without you, all these days wouldn't have been a success. Every speaker that I spoke here have did justice to their deliberations. And I hope the words they shared will linger in the hearts and minds of every individual. To the special guests and participants, thanks for making Abdul, to Bright Star School, Yunus English School, Mandela School Academy, and the brilliant poetry performers. Thank you all. There is Abdul because of you people. That is the spirit of Ubuntu. He is because of you. If Abdul is motivated or inspired to write, speak, or do wonders in his endeavors, that is because of the trust and belief you all have on him. So thank you all and keep supporting Abdul. Once again, this is a victory for Africa and a call to action, as it is said in the African anthem written by the AU. We should all unite and celebrate. if we are to celebrate, what are we celebrating? The victories that were won for our liberation. So today, our sons and daughters of Africa, before that our ancestors did for our liberation, it should not go in vain. So let's love Africa. Let's uphold the spirit of Africanism and uphold the spirit of humanity. Thank you all once again. So the OC will present a cake to Abdul. Yeah, let's all witness that, please. Thank you.